Hey everybody, this is your man Type coming to you with another true spook story. Now, before we begin, as you know, how about you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share me with your friends and family who just want a true story to listen to. Now, with all of that out of the way, this story takes place in the Ivy Lane apartment off Ivy Lane Road in Orlando, Florida. So round about in the third cluster, one, two, three, two to the left. Yes, the third cluster to the right. When you turn off of Ivy Lane Road, the third cluster, uh, there was this lady, very attractive woman, older. Uh, I could just say she was a very attractive woman. She was known as the whore of the neighborhood. Everybody knew that if you was going to see Mary, that you was gonna get your penis sucked, you were gonna get some good ass. I don't know, but for the younger kids, we heard the old heads talk about it, but we never, experienced it. We was too young. I was about 13, 14. Well, living in the projects, everybody was on reduced rent, income, etc. But Mary tended to have everything she ever wanted. She had the clothes, she had the money, she had the men, she was popular. And the odd thing about it, she lived in the projects by herself and she had no kids. Not one child in the house, not a niece, not a nephew. And we never even seen her family come to visit. It was just Mary and Mary alone. So this is where this thing is about to get a little crazy. And people, I tell you, I cannot make this up. So Mary was known for dealing with high-end men. Men that worked for banks, men that was like legal professionals and things of that nature. She never dealt with a blue-collar guy. So we would be outside hanging on the green tank and relaxing, chilling, telling stories, and just being asshole kids like we were. So we would be trying to look in the window to see if Mary was in there fucking, because she always kept her window curtain kind of exposed to the bottom. So you can always sneak up and look. And I swear to God, to this day, I think she knew all of us kids was looking, almost like baiting us up. That like when we get older, to know that we can come and try to hit her. It was like that type of energy. So we used to be like peeping toms. We would look in our window, and we would see these guys smashing the hell out of her. I mean, all kind of sexual acts. And 13, 14, we laughing at the shit, and she'll peer her eyes to the window like she knew we was there, and we'll duck down and run off and laugh, and then we go back to the green tank. So when she walked the gentleman outside, she'll wave at us, and she was fucking like this at least 4 times a day on a regular basis, probably twice this on a Sunday. Well, it gets crazy, people. So she started, I remember in detail, she started messing with, I remember in detail, she started messing with this this motorcycle enthusiast. I don't know his name, but I just know he used to talk about having a motorcycle, and he was a very braggadocious fellow, loud talking. And he drove a Jaguar, a very high-end Jaguar back in the day. I think it had to be brand new at the age when I was 13, 14. So you guys can look it up. Black, chrome. It was fly, man. And we thought he was the coolest dude because he would come with his leather coat on, and he would hand out dollars and stuff to all the kids that was around her house sitting on the green tank. And so we knew when he showed up, it was going to be cool. So one day he shows up, he gives the older kids the $20 and tell them, y'all go buy the kids a flip, go get them some candy, and y'all keep the rest. So the older kids, we went to the candy lady, Miss Alice, who was my godmother at the time. That's a story for another day. That's creepy as shit too. So, so we go back to the green tank and we finna go watch him jam Mary up in that window. So he goes in there, he goes to screwing the shit out of her, and she's jumping up and going crazy, and she's telling him she love him, and she just doing all kind of bouncy type shit. The bitch was an acrobat, if you ask me. Well, all of a sudden he gets up and he leaves her house. It's like he was a zombie, people. He gets up and he leaves her house. He doesn't get in his car, and he leaves with just the clothes on his back. And he goes walking up the road. So I'm thinking he's taking a stroll, cooling off, or he gotta go home to his old lady, whatever. But he goes up there to the store, Werco gas station, that was at the corner of Old Winter Garden Road and Ivy Lane Road before they tore it down and made it a medical center. And he goes up there and he's up there panhandling. I see him 2-3 days later, and he's up there dirty, panhandling as if he was sleeping on the road. And I'm like, this is odd. So we didn't think nothing. So my uncle was like, oh, something happened to that man. His head ain't right. A devil got him. The demon got him. And my family, we was kind of religious. So every time the demon got everybody, you know. Well, he was up there, and he had been up there for a long time. So I'm going to stop his story right here. And y'all remember what I said. He was at this store for a long time. Now I'm finna go over here to another guy. This guy, I'm about 15, around about 15 now. I'm going back. I'm mobile now. I'm going back into the neighborhood, hanging out, chilling. And Mary is still doing her thing. I still see this guy's Jaguar parked in front of Mary's house, because she used to pay us to keep them clean, get the brief around the tires, wipe them down, wash them every Sunday, that type of thing. So another gentleman come, he's driving a Cadillac, he's looking good, fly, he's laughing, he's joking, he comes with the shirt and tie on every day and every other day, and he's in there jamming Mary up. So we're 15 now, we're older kids, we don't even duck down, laugh and giggle and run when she look at the window, see us looking. Hell, we stand there, we watch, touching our shits, you know. Yeah, Mary, your ass gonna get hit when we get grown. This is the conversation all the guys are having. We were teenagers. So after about 3 or 4 times of this guy showing up and her screwing, the same thing occurs. He just leaves her house in a zombie-like fashion, and he goes up there to the Werco store, and now he's hanging out there. So a couple times we go, he's hanging out there asking people for money and all of this stuff, and just trying to get him a meal. We like, dude, you work for a bank. I'm thinking to myself, this dude is rich. He got a fucking Cadillac bigger than my mama project apartment. And I'll leave his story right there. Then another guy. This guy, he was like a Puerto Rican. Now, this is the first time in my community that I had seen a Hispanic person up close and personal that was talking. Now, this is the first time I've seen a Hispanic person up close, and we're talking, and I see him walk in our house, and he's speaking Spanish on his phone. It was a big giant Primeco, a Motorola, one of them giant ass phones back in the day. And he's speaking Spanish, and he hangs up real quick. So he goes in there and he's trimming her, and again, we're watching through the window. And I mean, we're just enjoying Mary doing her thing. That was the highlight of our day when we got out of school, you know. And so after about 3 or 4 visits, this guy does the same thing. He leaves his car and he just goes to walking around the neighborhood, bummish, mind gone, everything. It's like, what's going on? Now, as kids, we didn't put two and two together. We just automatically just assumed like these guys had to go hustle to get money. Their wives probably put them out. We didn't know shit. So this went on a bunch of times. I mean, over the times we've seen it, some of the guys disappeared at the store. Maybe somebody got them help. Maybe they went back home to their wives. But it was one guy in particular that I will always remember and have an idea of. I asked him his name, and his name was Travis. So in a lot of my tarot readings, I always refer to Travis because Travis was putting it down, and Travis was also a menace. So the guy Travis, she had worked him over, put it on him so good. He goes to the store and he's hanging out at the store, but he was kind of different from the other guys. It was like he didn't have nothing to lose. As everybody gave up something, it's like he didn't give up anything. He had nothing to lose. But it's like she still had a control over him because my Uncle Dallas will always say, and Uncle Dallas used to screw everything, people. Uncle Dallas used to say, "Oh, I can't never go knock her off." He said, "I never go and screw Mary. That bitch crazy. It's something about that coochie. I don't never want to touch it again." He said, "I never going to touch her coochie. I seen it one time and I don't want to see it no more." And he used to make jokes about that, and grown up jokes. We kids, but we get it. They letting us in on the inside joke. Well, Uncle Dallas ain't never want to run up and marry, and he was banging everything in the projects. And it was like, so what's going on with Mary? So the one guy, Travis, he would go to the store, panhandle for money. He would come back and he would drop mad dick up in Mary, and we'll hear him just screwing the shit out of her. But then he would leave, and he would leave in a zombie state, always out of his gore, euphoria. I guess he not exceeded his expectation, and he was just in a euphoric style. But he would always leave in a zombie state. So Travis stayed around the neighborhood off and on screwing Mary for years. For years. I'm talking about years, people. I was leaving high school and everything else, and he was still at the store bumming cash, begging for money, dirty, but Mary would always let him in to screw her. So here's where the story get a little crazy, family. And I want you guys to help me with this because I still don't understand it. Maybe it's some spooky going on. Maybe it's not. Well, Travis goes back to Mary's house, and Mary is sitting up there, and she welcomes him in. Now, Mary, she didn't age too well. Like, when I say too well, she wasn't getting old. She was still fly as fuck, She was just a bad woman, man. Jazzy bad, wow. And she would always let him in. She just could not say no to him. So I noticed this tattoo on his arm, and the tattoo was a magical symbol. So then I noticed the tattoo on her thigh. It was the same tattoo that was over his arm. And both of them was like feeding off each other. And when we looked through the window and saw them going at it, it was like nothing we ever seen before. It was erotic, it was exotic, it was exciting. It was just some off the wall shit, like two of the same kind. And after they get done, and she was screaming loud. You could hear her all out there by the green tank. So brother was jamming. This Hispanic dude, no, that's Travis. Travis was like jamming the fuck out this lady, right? So he would go to the store. He just kept it up. Now, she kept her gentleman callers. But every time she come with a gentleman caller, they was dropping mad money off at her. And she would wave to one of us. "Hey, could you walk to the store and get me some sugar? Could you walk to the store and get me some flour?" And all the young boys was like, "Hell yeah, we'll do it." Because we know when we get older and we start screwing, bitch, you hit. we gonna ask you for some of that JJ. You know what I'm saying? So we used to do it. She never asked Travis to go do it. Travis' job was up there to beg for money all day long. So Travis comes back one day and he's looking different. It's like he put on some weight because he had got all these guys was getting skinny, by the way. So now I'm finna jump back. I jumped a little head. Now I'm gonna jump back to where all this take place. So now you have four guys up here at this corner market, Werico gas station. You got four guys who would all marry sexually, intimately. Neither one of them knew each other. Neither one of them spoke to each other. But these four men, amongst others, was up there to that gas station begging for change. But the new dude, the Travis guy, he comes home. I guess he comes to Mary House one day. I'm about 17, 18, hanging out now. He comes to Mary House one day, and all of a sudden, 3 gunshots ring out. Pow, pow, pow. So we instantly, take cover. We in the hood. We know the deal. We take cover behind the trash can, the dumpster that's in the center of the complex. And we're looking at the house because we knew where the bullets came from. And all of a sudden, we see Travis emerge, brandishing a little firearm. I don't know what kind it was, 22-38, but it was a revolver. And he walks out and he looks around and he drops the gun and he gets on his knees and he puts his hand over his face and just starts screaming real loud, saying, "Father, forgive me. Father, forgive me. Lord, give me my soul back. Restore me." He's saying all kind of crazy shit like that. So we like, what the deal? So we didn't go out and support him. We just stayed hidden. And he gets up and he gets up all of a sudden. He reaches in his pocket. He takes the gun with him, by the way. He reaches in his pocket and he pulls out a set of keys, and we hear chirp chirp. And it had always been a Corvette, a very nice Corvette, gray and black with red trimming and mag wheels. Flyest fucking car I ever seen in my life. And that Corvette was always sitting there. And chirp chirp. And oh my God, this bitch had a $80,000 car parked in the middle of the projects across the parking lot from her house. She had done him the same way. And he cared about her so much. He had gotten a tattoo, the same tattoo, but to the day I can't describe it, but it was like a mystical tattoo. And he was asking God for his soul back, so he gets in his car and he backs up and he zooms off, never to be seen again. I don't know if they arrested him or anything. So we run to the house and we get my mom and we call my grandma. And I think Mary did. I say, Travis, that Mr. Travis just shot 3 shots in her head. I mean, in the house, and I don't hear us talking or screaming or yelling. And they were like, "Did you see anything?" I'm like, "No, we just heard." So they told us to stay in the house. And my mom, grandma, and everybody in the neighborhood, everybody had heard it. So everybody investigated. Nobody wanted to go in the house to check. So they called the police. And my Uncle Dallas, he goes in the house and he was like, "Oh shit, Pat, she dead." And he comes out, "She dead. Mary dead." And my mom like, "Oh man." So my grandma was like, "I knew that bitch would get her upcomings." And everybody hear him and everybody look at my grandma, and my grandma like, "I knew that bitch had that shit coming to her. She knew better all that time. She knew she couldn't do this shit forever." And that's all grandma ever said about this, y'all. So, long story short, fast forward a little bit more. They come and clean Mary's body up. Now here's where this shit get crazy, people. And I wish I could make a story up like this, but I really can't. All the homeless bums that was up to the Ware Core stove for 2-3 years after fucking Mary, came back and picked up their property. They came back and got their nice cars. They came back and got the keys out their car, out her house. They came back and it's like they was themselves again. And they got their cars, and we was watching their cars. So the car was flies clean. So they got in their cars and they took off. And it's like the whole goddamn third cluster complex cleared out. I know, right? So now, after they removed Mary's body, all of the cars are cleared from the car park. This guy walks up, and everybody, and he's going in the house, and he has a little pickup truck, and he's rushing into the house, into Mary's house to get something, and he's frantically looking for it, and we can hear him scuffling and scuttling because he came about 7:30 that night. And he's scuffling and scuttling, and her power had got turned off, so he had his little flashlight and things. You could see it through the window. And lo and behold, he like finds it because he said, God damn, find this bitch. Woo, woo, thank God. And he was saying things of that nature. So as he walks out, all of the adults, they thought one of the neighborhood tough kids was in robbing the dead, and they didn't play that shit like. All of the adults come in and check the house, make sure it wasn't no young cats in there trying to rob her and everything, robbing the dead. A guy comes out of the house and he's dressed to death. I mean, fly shit. And he's saying, I found it, and he's yelling and he's making a beeline to his truck, to which a lot of the older women stop him and like, who are you? What are you doing? He had claimed to be Mary's brother, but they look nothing alike, and he kind of looked old, but not old. He kind of like real distinguished, but you could tell he was probably 43 tops. So everybody kept looking at him crazy and things of that nature right there. And then he said something, and he muttered a language to which everybody turned around and walked away. But it didn't have no effect on the children, because we was there looking at him, because we was all on the green tank. So I kept on trying to figure out for years what that meant. So they came and cleaned Mary's spot up. They kept telling the landlord kept telling all of the people who asked about it in the neighborhood that she kept some dirt in her closet. And they said the dirt didn't smell right, or it was funny dirt, and it was just like if she was to go out there, dig up some dirt, put it in a pillowcase, and sprinkle it in her closet where her clothes was, and she kept the dirt there. And they said every time they would vacuum the dirt up, the vacuum cleaner would stop. It was some kind of mystical dirt, I'm assuming. Well, they finally got her apartment cleaned out. And so we sitting around, we older now, and I'm asking Grandma about that, and Grandma basically telling me how she was a vampire, and she didn't believe that those type of vampires should exist. And I'm like, vampires ain't real, and we tripping. And Grandma was like, you think vampires only suck blood? So you think vampires only suck blood? And I was like, I don't know. And she say, vampires take energy, they take life force, they could take any goddamn thing they want. They could take a seed. And she say, so that bitch was a vampire. We all knew that was a vampire. So then, once Grandma said all that and realized that, it was over then. We all like, damn dog, we was finna fuck a vampire, bro. We were gonna hit that bitch, because we had all decided to knock this woman off when we got older. But thank God, Spirit intervened, and the people who she kept in slavery and bondage got out of that shit, man. These people were sitting at that stove for 2-3 years. These was men with money, status, bankers, gamblers, I mean, insurance people, loan brokers, whatever you want to call it. They was trending. And she had took their mind and their money, and she was living good too. But yeah, people, that's it. That's the story of sucking Mary. They call her blood sucking Mary. Fuck that. I'm gonna name this bitch Cursed by Sex. Because that is exactly what the fuck she did. She cursed them boys, the men, for screwing her. And I mean, these are good looking dudes. They had everything well built, and they was at the store bombing for money when they had a $30,000 car parked in the middle of the projects. Money still in the dashboard. When we cleaned the car, we used to find pistols and change under the seat. And here they are, done forgot who they was, and they up there at the store begging for change when they could just walk to their car and get all the change they want. But yeah, after Mary got shot, I still don't know what happened to the Spanish dude Travis. But after Mary was shot and killed, those guys gained their sense of mind back and they left. And my grandma, to this day, if she was alive, she would tell you too that that lady was a vampire. A vampire living in the hood. They probably gonna make a movie of that shit one day. Well, I'm finna get off this thing, everybody. I'm tight, telling you guys, be careful who you run up in or let run up in you. They might just take a piece of your soul. Take care, everybody. Stay safe.